We had a question in the comments
All right.
uh, asking who gives the money for matching funds? Where does it come from? And I think that's, people
Yeah.
probably it's a good question. I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. Like, how does that money come about?
So it depends obviously on what level seat you're running for. If you're running for a city level seat, like we're talking about here, the mayor or city council, for example, it comes from the city. There's a city agency called the Campaign Finance Board. It's a New York City agency. It's taxpayer money. It's taxpayer funded money. Um, Once you meet those thresholds, like we said for city council, you have to get 75 people in your district, and you have to raise a certain amount of money total. I believe it's 1,000. I forget now if it's 1,000 or $5,000 total in matchable contribution. But you have to meet certain thresholds. And once you meet those thresholds and you report, you document everything. And the CFP is very, very strict on documenting every dollar, every penny that comes in, right? And they'll ask you for all kinds of stuff. They'll go back and forth with you for years. But if all your paperwork is in order, then you get a check, or really it's a direct deposit from the city into your campaign account. And it's taxpayer money used to run your campaign. But after you get the money, you still have to document everything that you do with it, every cent that you. And so you have to have copies of all the checks that come in and out. You have to have your bank statements. You have to have your deposit slips. You have to have your receipts from the vendors, your invoices, and they'll ask you for everything, right? And like I said, some people are not happy with how long this process goes on because you open up an account to run for office and you end up getting scrutinized by the city for years to come, years. And it's crazy, audit after audit after audit. And they'll do like a first draft audit, preliminary audit. This is what we looked at from your reporting. It looks like we're missing this, this, and this. Even if sometimes it's not missing, them, I think it's missing, whatever it is. Maybe you see things differently. You say you provided it, they say it's not good enough. They sometimes they don't read your deposit slip the right way. Whatever it is, they'll come back with all the stuff they want from you. Sometimes then it's hard to get it right because now if it's months or years later, sometimes the bank doesn't even have those old records, or if they do, you have to ask for them and wait for them to come. And it goes back and forth. Like you'll give your response, and then maybe 5 or 6 months later they come back and they're like, "All right, cool, you responded, but we're still not completely satisfied," or "We forgot to mention last time this thing now," or whatever. Like it'll always be something else that'll come up. Um, some people are cynical about that. Some people think that they're doing that as a way to discourage you or to go after people that aren't in the in crowd. For example, are they going to do that kind of thing to Adam? Some people might be cynical about that and think, oh, here comes the CFB being weaponized against a candidate or against a campaign to try to put a lot of heat on them, put a lot of pressure on them to either not give them the matching funds or to fine them. They're also known for that. I have to say this, and this is knock on wood. I have not been fined by the CFB, but I understand that many campaigns are. Many, many. And there are people, I know, I'm not going to say names, but I know people who have been paying off these fines for years, and they've gone on to run for other offices, and they get a paycheck for being in office now, and money comes out of their paycheck every time to pay back the fines that they owe to the CFB from when they were in the city council or when they were in another office like a decade ago now, or whatever it is. So there are people not happy with that whole system.
Right.
I
And
think
and part of
some
it
I
is
think is a side effect of the matching funds being there because, like we said, it's taxpayer money.
that's what I was going to say. It's
Yeah.
it's taxpayer money. You have to I think if there wasn't that kind of oversight, people would be very upset at just money being handed out to candidates, taxpayer money being handed out to candidates.
Right, and I do think there needs to be at least a barrier to entry, for lack of a better term. Right, it's not to gatekeep, but you don't want to create a situation where anyone who just declares himself a candidate automatically gets matching funds money. Because some people have suggested that, like let's make it a system where anyone who says that they're running for the seat automatically gets $300,000. Um,
Right.
I would have my concerns about that. I think that's subject to abuse.
Very
Um,
much so.
yeah,
Very,
and you start thinking about let's recruit 10 of our friends to all say that they're running, so now we get $3 million, and we can spend it on really just attacking the one candidate that we think poses a threat to the one that we're really trying to run. You know what I mean? Like there are
Right.
things you can manipulate with a system like that, where if you have the system where you need the 75 people to give you money, you have to raise a certain amount to get there. It at least creates a barrier to kind of weed out unserious candidates.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. But
all the
that's
scrutiny though, you know what? There are reforms that I think would do well. Like I think maybe they should be using actual accountants as auditors. I think that might help because I noticed like sometimes I would get a report back saying your deposit slip doesn't represent the amount of money you reported depositing into the bank. And I'll say, yes, it does. You just don't know how to read a deposit slip. Sometimes on a deposit slip, it'll have different amounts on it. And it'll be like basically when you deposit a check, right? It'll say like basically, this amount is available now. This amount will be available
right.
in 5 days and 7 days, whatever it is, and have different amounts. Sometimes they'll be reading the wrong amount and then saying that we did something wrong. Like little things like that. It's like, come on, you're going to scrutinize, at least try to have your stuff together so that you're not threatening. Because what you're doing is you're basically threatening to fine people for your own
Right.